everybody. Mics are hot. We're going to get started here in a moment once Christian gets back to record the show. In the meantime, I got Ash Guy with me. AJ Minotti, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was better before Mike Minotti was in chat. Am I right?
Ugh.
Hi, idiots. Great start, Mike. Thanks, bud.
So mature.
All right, there's that. Music's kind of loud. That's all right. No, it's fine. All right. Rundown is there. Okay, we were having intros this show. I guess it's all written down here, huh?
Is it written down properly?
Yeah, I think it is.
This is the one where I read super chats or you read them?
You'll read super chats, and I'll read the mailbag.
I can do that.
Thank you. Boom, 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 boom. All right. If you're just tuning in, the show starting shortly. I suppose I could tweet in the meantime.
You should do that.
What if I threaded? What do they call it on there? Threading?
I think
Posting.
Posting?
Yes, posting
it's not tweeting
everywhere.
anymore either. Isn't that just posting?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it is.
I will call it tweeting until the day I die.
Yeah. All right.
This Clark Kent curl you got going on there.
Yeah, it's just that's just how it happens sometimes. I didn't even try that. That just happens. Greg Miller pays $500 to get this, and it just happens for me. This showed up in our PO box.
I won't leave you at the Pittsburgh airport. What is that?
This is a true nightmare. I'm going to show it to you. It's the Mike Minotti Robo Mitch cake, but in toy form. From, I believe, Duck Sauce? Is that who it Duck?
Oh, hey.
Yeah, and you see the date, 2023. It's been sitting in our virtual office location, the mailbox. They hold it for us since at least late last year.
That explains a lot.
Yes, absolutely. They open my mail and just send it to me, so I have to every once in a while I'll go get the packages. There was this, and Ham Sorrow sent a bunch of Pikmin keychains from Nintendo Store Japan. And I got to pay back, which I'm going to try. I'm just going to give him some money, but also wants a signed autograph of Mike Minotti. So I'm going to do that and send it to him.
Sidebar: Ham Sorrow is a fantastic username.
Yes.
I'm back. I'm ready.
Is that a reference to Ham Taro?
Presumably.
It's good.
Hamtown.
Okay.
Yeah, show about sunflower seeds. Something Jeff knows a lot about.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Sunflower seeds.
A little too much.
Oh, now with some sunflower seeds, I go for something salty.
Well,
I need something salty to suck on.
That's fucked
That
up
one's
that he
free.
eats so many sunflower seeds that his butthole stopped working.
Look.
Thank you, Jerf.
I don't know how that thing is shorter than 5 seconds.
It feels longer.
It feels way longer.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
right.
what
It's
is
yes.
this
Weird you
whole
didn't want
thing
mine.
again?
Listen, I'm fine. Whatever. If I could trade on your fame to get free stuff, I'm gonna. All right. Let's see here. I'll turn off the music. We'll test this.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now!
All right.
Let's get this on.
Am I gonna hear the music?
Oh yeah, you guys didn't hear that? All right, let's
Nope.
fix that. Routing. There we go.
Hey,
Story shit in
you
the
guys
bed.
hear me?
Hear that?
Start cheering
Yes.
now!
Fantastic. Wunderbar.
Am I doing this or do you want to do it? It's your call.
Doing what now?
The intro.
Oh yeah, why don't you do it? That'll be fun. All right, yeah, sure.
You know it better than he does.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Probably
Let's
know better than Mike does.
Yeah.
Remember, for a month, Mike just skipped. We are the last of the
Uh-huh.
Nintendogs.
Yes.
Yeah. It bothered me every time.
It bothers a lot of people. All right, I think
We find
Get away
comfort
with
in
it.
the intro, you know?
right. People like the ritual. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll get to this KB super chat pretty early on, AJ. Since it was a beefy one, we'll get that to near the top. All right, everybody.
What is going on?
Are you okay, Christian?
think
Are you ready?
Discord. I think Discord's having issues.
Yeah, Discord's doing a
It's been-
thing.
Mm,
all right, let's
in
see.
and out.
No, that was me. That was me. I just changed the server. Sorry.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know it
Cool.
was
Okay,
going
okay.
to like disconnect you. That's way better. All right.
There
Why
we
wasn't it? It wasn't a U.S. South. What is? I don't know. Like whatever. We're ready. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna count us in. Do the music. What else? Anything else? Oh, I don't know if I actually ever tweeted. Now that I think about it. Now that I like actually start talking out loud. Did I
I guess I
ever?
could do that too to my dozens
Do
of
we even
followers.
need
I
Twitter?
don't remember. But here is
Eh.
a tweet.
Need is a strong word.
Heck yeah, mo chat.
Post.
All right. There we go. There's that.
Test. Yeah, we're
There's that. All right. We are going now. All right.
all right.
Starting in 5, 4, 3.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now! Yeah, let's get this over with. Yeah.
Woof woof. Hi, I'm AJ Minotti, and I'm a Nintendog.
Hi, I'm Jeff Grubb, and I'm a Nintendog.
And we are the last of the
Oh, ruff, 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 ruff,
Nintendogs.
ruff. Oh, ruff, 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 ruff.
On this week's show, Paper Mario is getting reviews. Nintendo makes an acquisition, and Sony has huge things to say about Zelda. But first, Jeffrey Grubb, how are you?
I'm good, Ash. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're filling in. I'm glad we could do this show for everybody, even with our derelict, irresponsible co-host off doing whatever, fruit in his
He's like on
food.
this show anymore.
I don't
Like,
think so.
He's been gone more than he's been here this
Right.
month.
Possession is 9/10 of the law, so I think this belongs to you now.
Yeah, I'll just take all that that sweet super chat money.
That's
So
right.
Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming.
Yep. I tell you what, I'm thinking a lot about Paper Mario, especially after these reviews drop. We'll talk about all that here in a little bit. But that's like right at the top of my mind. I'm playing a bunch of other games, and I'm like, you know what? All of this is turning into ash in my mouth. I just want that sweet, sweet Paper Mario.
Well, you're in Nintendo jail, so you don't get it yet.
That's
But
right.
You will.
I'll probably they
But
might
before we
send the
get
codes.
started-
Sometimes they send a code, sometimes they don't. I'm like, hey, yeah, there it is. Like, hey, I kind of don't want to pay for Princess Peach Showtime. Can you send a code? And they just never sent me one for that. So I'm like, whatever, I'll pay for it. But I'm used to, I don't even ask most of the time anymore, because if I ask for a code, I'll have to wait a couple days, like at least one day, often more. I'm like, whatever, I'll just pay. That's not a big deal. I'll get it faster that way. I'll get it like the night it comes out, which is like, 10 p.m. or to midnight here Eastern time. And that's totally cool. But it's like, even these ones that you guys, no one's talking about anymore, you guys want to send those codes? All right, whatever. Paper Mario, though, I don't care. I'm buying that so I can have that as soon as possible.
Well, before we get into any more of that, let's do some housekeeping at the top. Welcome to the Game Mess Nintendogs podcast. You can check out their Patreon, where you can support them at the various levels to get into the Discord and the secret channel and support the show. Hit that like button if you're watching us live. And
What else do we
Jeff Grubb,
say?
these reviews,
Yeah.
they're really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Paper Mario. The reviews are in. It's in the 90s on both Metacritic and OpenCritic, which I guess I
very
wasn't
high.
expecting. Yeah.
Which, well, it looks like it's changed. Right now I'm seeing an 88 if I look at Metacritic
Okay.
Live.
High 80s
coming
still.
out a little bit.
Right,
But
I
still, 88's a very good score.
Right. I think we talk about it whenever we do like the Metacritic prediction game of how much harder it is to get like an 87 than it is to get like an 85. Like every point above 84-ish is just that much more difficult to scrape by. And so to be in the high 80s for any game is super impressive. That's why the 90s is so rare. And yeah, like looking at I put a list of review scores from a bunch of these websites. Lots of 4 out of 5s, lots of 10s, lots of 9s. Doing very well. And that's not too surprising. Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door has always been a great game. I think what these reviews say to me is they didn't mess it up. And if anything, they made the game actually better.
Right. What's your history with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door? Did you play it back in the day?
I played it. I don't know if I played it like right when it came out, but I played it on the GameCube at some point, and I played a lot of it. But I don't know if I've ever actually beaten the game outright. And I've definitely started it several times now, and I always enjoy myself. Spent a lot of time in Toadport, and I think it's, the mechanics are great. I like a lot of the side characters. Definitely have gotten deep into it a couple of times. This time, though, I'm like, I'll just sit down and actually beat it. How about you?
I actually haven't played a lot of this game. I think when the first Paper Mario came out, I was kind of like butthurt that it wasn't Mario RPG 2.
Oh,
we weren't getting like Gino and Mallow and everything. And you think I would have been over it by the time this game came out? And I don't know. I honestly don't know why. Like, we had it. Mike played it. He played a ton of it. Maybe he was hogging it. Let's go with that. Mike,
yeah, that sounds most likely.
That sounds about right. Right?
Yeah.
I'm very curious to get into this and play it properly. Like I said, I've put a few hours into it, but my issue is I still didn't finish the Mario RPG remake yet, which I could probably knock out in like a couple evenings. I just need to,
Yeah.
But like I said, when they first announced this, the original concern was, what are they going to do to it? Is it just going to be like the GameCube, like ROM basically running with some up-resing? That became apparent. It was a much more of a remaster remake kind of situation. But then there was the whole 30 FPS thing, which we pretty much knew, but now we know for sure it is a 30 FPS game.
Yeah, there was some question there a little bit where like one video got uploaded at 1080 60 or something like that, and it's like, nah, that was just the output settings that person used. Codec, that's it. Yeah.
But it looks like that hasn't hurt it. So I'm guessing it's what I always call the good 30. Where even though it's 30, it's smooth and responsive because the game is very timing based, so it helps to have the frames. But again, look at these scores; they're really good scores. So I guess it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a good enough developer, if you understand the limitations you're working with, you can make the timing windows appropriate for 30 frames per second. So
that's true too. I wonder if they widen that a little bit.
Right, you probably just made sure like we want it to feel correct, and I bet that's something that a designer and producers working on this project to bring this game forward were mindful of. At least it feels like it based on the reaction to this game. There were no real complaints about this. I don't even know. I didn't see many people complaining about 30 frames per second in general. I think a big part of that is that this game does lend itself really well to a lower frame rate somehow, where it's
the only person I saw complaining about it was Mike.
Yeah, right. God, why is he such a stick in the mud?
He's just such. Well, I laugh, and we were talking about Silver pre-show, but some of you who listen to the show may know Mike is not a very technical person when it comes to gaming technology, but he is a weird stickler for 60 FPS, and I think I know why. And Mike's in the chat, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. We might have told this story before, but back in the mid 90s, a Gateway Country store opened near us. And it was right next to also the brand new Panera. It was a new plaza. So we went to lunch Panera, and then we wandered in this Gateway Country. And they actually had their gaming PC with a Voodoo 2 running Quake 2. And it was the first time I could really remember seeing a high-res 60 FPS game. And it just looked so much better than anything you'd seen on consoles at that point. And so immediately that led to, Dad, we need a new gaming PC, and we eventually got one and had the Voodoo 2, and we were PC gamers for a while there when everything was 60 FPS. So I think that's what spoiled us on
right. So if you got into early 3D gaming and it was all 60 frames per second, that would probably
that's just what we had.
That would establish a baseline.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
It's the only explanation I have.
At the very least, for Paper Mario, when I look at this thing in trailers and videos, YouTube compression aside, I think it looks kind of indistinguishable from the game on GameCube. Normally I could tell. I actually can't tell when looking at it on video. Now, we'll see if that changes once I'm playing in person. I think that the way that they have built this game, it is with, again, these limitations in mind. So I think the way the characters move and animate will be lending themselves to working really well with 30 frames per second. So I'm just not worried about that. And then overall, it's no, man, a great like it's kind of exactly where I want to be with gaming right now. Feeling very nostalgic, looking for that home base of something that's safe and secure, like a security blanket of like, I know I like this game. I like these characters. I like the Switch. I like the GameCube. I can go back and just play an old game and not have to think about where gaming is at overall right now. And that feels really nice. Not that I'm like Nintendo overall is not falling into the same traps as some of these other companies. And yet still, it's like, I'm just in that mood to be back in my bag, playing games I love. And this is going to hit that right square in the bullseye. So very excited about this.
Like I said, for me, it's almost going to be a first time playing. So I'll get to it actually. Maybe by the end of summer, I'll be ready to jump in.
Yeah, and if you're like, I mean, how far into Super Mario RPG Remake are you? Like,
I'm at least halfway done, if not further.
So you can,
like I said,
you could beat that pretty quickly.
A couple of nights I could probably crank that out and just be done.
Let's see here. And Nintendo did acquire Shiver Entertainment as well. That was a kind of a relatively big story for all things considered for Nintendo, making an acquisition, buying Shiver Entertainment.
Not often.
No, not often. Bought him from basically Embracer Group. Shiver is a port specialist studio. They worked on the ports for Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat 11 going to the Switch. And I don't know if we know the exact number. Probably not a big number for a studio like this. Nintendo doesn't make massive acquisitions. But this is like a team that is technically sound with your hardware. That's good to have, and this opens up the possibility that Nintendo could have some specialist team of their own ready to do these ports for external third parties going forward. Something the company's probably thinking, hey, it would be important to have more of that going forward. Do you think that's what this is, or is there something else going on here? What do you think?
It sounds like, I mean, it's not like they have to port their own games to platforms, so
right, probably not.
It's not Sony buying Nixies for PC ports,
right?
So yeah, I mean, I wonder if that is like they want to make sure they're getting more third party stuff on the Switch too, and they're going to offer development help with that, or maybe they are bringing these guys in to do like remasters of older games, bringing some more GameCube games and even Wii U games forward and into the Switch 2 era. So they could go either way with it. Now, I misread it, I guess, earlier. Mortal Kombat 11, not Mortal Kombat 1.
They might have done Mortal Kombat 1 as well, but they definitely did Mortal Kombat 11.
Okay, because the Mortal Kombat 1 port, we all saw how that went. But
yes, but yeah, still, it's like that game never should have been on Switch in the first place.
No. But the Hogwarts Legacy port, everyone was expecting the worst. It was delayed. It came out so much later. But by all accounts, it was actually a pretty serviceable, maybe that's a derogatory way of putting it, but a good port of a complex next-gen game. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's good that Nintendo's investing in any sort of kind of technology-based company, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it shows that they're taking kind of the technological side of the Switch and its software seriously going forward. And hopefully that just means that the Switch 2 is going to have some good oomph to it.
Yeah, and it's like, is this team going to do that thing where it's like, okay, Nintendo is going to offer up their services to major third parties? Is this a team that's going to make sure that GTA 6 someday is on Switch 2? No idea. It could be as simple as this team had a tool and Embracer was like, listen, we might be shutting this team down. Nintendo, do you want to just like buy them to make sure this tool keeps getting like maintained, so they can keep doing this work going forward? And Nintendo's like, how much? And it was like probably pocket change. So it's like, okay, right. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll buy this team, buy the tool, we'll find work for them, because there will definitely be work for them. And it all just kind of fell into place. Like, I'm not expecting this to vastly change the landscape of like third-party games on Switch consoles going forward. It's going to be a small little bonus here and there, maybe. All right, then the last story I put on here for the rundown is Sony says that Zelda will be huge, which is just a fun sentence to say. I like saying it. I've said it a bunch of times this week. I'm going to keep saying it. They're talking about the movie, of course, and that's Sony Pictures. But I guess CEO, the head of Sony Pictures, was out there talking about it and saying this is going to be massive for us. And one, it's just, again, weird to have a Sony executive out there talking about Zelda in any way. And then two, do you think that this movie is for sure going to be massive for Sony Pictures?
I mean, it certainly has the potential to be if they handle it right.
Yes.
Video game entertainment media is kind of in a renaissance right now. Things have been hitting very well. It's very popular. It's no longer the kiss of death like it used to be when you heard, oh, they're making a House of the Dead movie. So who cares? Like, I'm not going to see that. I'm not going to take it seriously. But we're past that. Kind of where comic book movies were 20 years ago, like starting to come into their own. We might be going through that right now. It could be a blip. It could be long term. I guess time will tell. But the recent successes we've had from things like Mario, like Fallout, like The Last of Us, means these companies are willing to finally put the proper resources into making these what they can be. So I think Sony sees the potential to treat this as a big property and not just some throwaway tie-in like had been done in the past. And if they kind of stick to that and put the proper investment, get the right talent involved, this could be what I feel like it's been missing since Harry Potter, and the only solution to fill this in has been more Harry Potter. This could be the next like high fantasy multimedia property for kids beyond what it already is in video games.
Right. Yeah, and I think it will be difficult to pull that off, but you're right, it's not impossible. And if they can nail it, it can reach those heights. It really could. I don't know if a Harry Potter phenomenon is in the cards for a Zelda movie, but a very high grossing film that catches on and creates a franchise that can run for several movies is definitely in the cards for this. So I hope they take it seriously. I think the good news here is after Mario, everyone involved seems to be like, let's take this seriously. Sony say, hey, it's going to be massive. Westfall keeps talking about it, being very excited. That's the director. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel some promising stuff happening here. A lot of it will just come down to the tone and the script. And those things are just not a given. I think it's very easy to mess those things up. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I wouldn't put a bet on it being massive for Sony, but I think, hey, if they can pull it off, I'll be very happy.
What kind of tone would you like to see from a Zelda movie? Like, because Zelda can have a lot of different flavors involved. Do you want it to be? Do you want Tingle or do you want like Twilight Princess?
Here's what I want. There is a movie called Stardust that is based on I'm gonna forget the author's name. He's a famous author everyone likes. And it is like an adventure fantasy film. It's an isekai. I don't want it to be an isekai. Please, dear God, please don't make Zelda an isekai. But it's a fun adventure film where Robert De Niro is like a gay pirate, but he has to hide that from his crew, and then he finds out later the crew knows and doesn't care and loves him anyhow. And it's very much like, okay, this is grand adventure, and then everyone's got a little bit more personality and silliness to them than you're expecting. I think that would be a Neil Gaiman. Thank you, everybody. If you can get that vibe, that Stardust vibe, which is a classic movie, then you're well on your way to having something decent with Zelda. I think you want to have fun adventure. If you can get those two things working together, I would be very happy. How about you? Is that something you think they can pull off, or do you have a different idea?
Yeah, actually, someone in chat said it, and it was kind of what I was thinking, like a Princess Mononoke, but a little more fun.
Okay, listen, if they could do, yes, sure. Like that to me, that's setting your sights so high. Right? Yes,
right. Yeah,
I would love that.
But like that kind of tone where you have some darker elements, but you get some levity in there. You can have some of the goofy stuff. I don't know if I need Tingle in the movie. I don't need a grown man in a skin tight green suit saying the magic words that only he knows. But I almost picture, like, kind of going back to what I said, like I want this to be like Lord of the Rings that my kids can more easily get into. Like, my daughter asked if we could start watching Lord of the Rings this past week. We started Fellowship. We got an hour into it, and then she kind of was zoning out. She's like, Dad, can we finish this later? I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's a lot for a 9-year-old to just pick up and start watching without any preparation.
Sure.
Literally just turned it on. If we could get into something that's gonna better hold her attention, have a little more fun. Not that Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings is super fun, but you know what I mean,
right?
Something that's gonna be able to hit that appeal while also keeping the boomers happy. Play that theme. Don't hide it. Keep it in there. Don't. Obviously, thank God it's not Illumination. We don't have to have No Sleep Till Brooklyn in this movie too. Yeah.
I watch that movie a lot right now because the kids are back into Mario, and the music choices do eventually really wear me down. It's like,
it
God.
Astounds me if I can go on a tangent about that, because they have the tracks for everything in the movie to have a version of the film with no licensed music. It's all on the album. And it kills me that they didn't, when it came to digital or as a bonus. Hell, I'll buy it again.
Yeah.
Make the gamer cut. That is just the music tracks that the composer wrote and that actually fit. I want that Donkey Kong Country track back in the movie instead of Take On Me. I will pay $20. My money is on the table, and they're like, nah.
Yep.
We really, the youths really need to hear Thunderstruck.
Right.
That really resonates with children.
And it's the most obvious needle drops you could possibly have at every opportunity. And
I mean, they did No Sleep Till Brooklyn. They already did that in one of their other movies.
Yeah.
It kills me every time.
They don't care. They don't care.
They don't care.
So yeah, I right. They're not. It's not Illumination. They're not going to be doing that. So yeah. Do we know who the composer's going to be yet? Because that will be a tough job.
That's a good call. We probably don't, but that's a big lift. I mean, it'd be cool. Like if it was someone like a Giacchino.
Yeah.
I feel like he would get it. More likely, it's going to be like Mario. Where I mean, I forget the name of the guy who did Mario. It's not like that's the first thing he'd done, but it's probably the biggest thing he'd done. But again, he is about our age. He grew up with Mario. He got it. If it could be someone like that, someone who's ready for that next big leap, who grew up with this stuff, who gets it, is willing to collaborate with Nintendo on the music, that should be the easy part.
Yes, right, absolutely. Giacchino, he directed a movie recently, didn't he?
Well, he did that that Marvel Werewolf by Midnight, is it?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
It was a series, or like a limited, not a series, like a limited special.
Right.
On
Yes.
Disney Plus
Yes.
a
A
few years ago.
mini series. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he has directed.
Okay. So yeah, I wonder if he'd be busy or is looking for more of that kind of work. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right. He would be able to pull that off. I'm sure there's more out there.
Yeah. Well, he just did. Giacchino just did the soundtrack for If.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, and that movie's doing well. That was him. So, okay. Cool. All right. I think that's it for the news. Why don't we read some super chats right now?
Okay.
Angela, you got those in front of you?
I have them here.
All right. Let's get into it.
The first one up is from Simon McKinley SD. He says, at this point, Mike is as real as Penny.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's to say not at all, of course.
You know, like those VTubers where they're like an anime girl or something. It's actually been our brother Chris doing these shows with like a little VTuber graphic of Mike.
My favorite VTuber, Mike Minotti. Absolutely.
Yes, of course. And that was his third super on live. So thank you, Simon. Ooh. Then we have a very generous super chat from KB Esquire. And they say, just finished Mario 64 and Zelda Ocarina of Time playthroughs, and it got me thinking. Over the years, has there been any suggestion that there was ever a Metroid in development for N64 or prototype or news or anything? Yeah, I never thought of that, Jeff. Do you know anything?
It's definitely something I feel like I remember like going around back in the day. And I was going to say
they had to.
I was going to say this is the exact kind of thing where it's like when I have this kind of question these days, I just go to Did You Know Gaming and I just Googled Metroid 64 and the first thing that came up is like there's a 2022 Did You Know Gaming video that talked about maybe some stuff that would have happened with Metroid 64, like some approaches they were thinking about taking. I think it was, let's see here. Yeah. Did You Know Gaming asked former employees of Rockstar Games and Rare, two companies that were part of Nintendo's dream team of third-party developers who worked closely with them on N64 titles. Remember, like Space Station Silicon Valley, like Rockstar was working on the N64 frequently. If either studio had been offered Metroid 64, former Rockstar employees, including studio co-founder Jamie King, denied that Rockstar was approached. So, if anything, I think there was a lot of like whispers in the wind among fans. Doesn't seem like Metroid was ever really a possibility on the N64, I would bet. So
sounds like I found a snippet of an old interview that was dug up with Sakamoto, who was the director of Super Metroid, and basically he's saying like he held the N64 controller and like couldn't figure out how to control Samus with it.
Yeah,
and just kind of gave up.
Yeah, totally. That's a lot of people felt that way about that controller. I like it, but I get it. Yeah. Apparently, like, and then Rare was saying, we definitely might have mentioned Metroid in a few of our like big idea brainstorming conversations, but it doesn't seem like it ever got far past that. Either way, though, like at the time, Metroid fans were going like, "Hey, Super Metroid ruled. Metroid 64 has got to be happening." And then the whole generation went by and it didn't happen, and everyone's like kind of down in the dumps. And then Metroid Prime got announced, and it looked amazing. Oh, actually, it looked cool, but everyone's like, first person, this is not what we were asking for. And then the game came out, and it was amazing.
And it was amazing.
Point. Yes, that was history there. But KB Esquire, thank you so much for that very generous super chat. That was awesome.
Yeah. All right, George Sneezy writes, what are the odds we see GTA 6 on Switch 2? Can't wait for the inevitable Mar-a-Lago mission to steal classified documents.
Yep, that's inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah. I think when the Switch 2 is out and GTA 6 comes out, whether it's day and date or not, Nintendo's insane if they don't try to get that on their system.
Yeah, and Nintendo is insane, so that's a possibility. But I think the chances are relatively good over the course of the Switch 2's life. I don't think there's really any chance of it happening day and date, but I could see it going, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and then like a year later Switch 2, and then a year later PC, even though that would be wild right now because of like PC is such a big part of their GTA Online stuff. But you got to keep in mind, like, this company works backward from, this would avoid having to deal with people getting the PC version and using cheat engine and all this other stuff. We can control the environment a little bit better. But yeah, I think Switch 2 does happen eventually.
Yeah. That was George Sneezy's first super chat. So
thank you, George Sneezy.
El Grug says, does AJ have any takes on grilling food? If so, can he teach Jeff how to use a grill? Because after last week's dump truck, I have questions. All right. Sorry, I'm behind on my dumping.
Yeah.
What did you do, Jeff?
My position is, I think grilling is a little overrated for getting good food out of it. Like, you can definitely get good. You can definitely grill good food. I would never say that you couldn't. It is just my opinion that it requires a little bit more effort than I would like to put in to get the food that I want, and I think you could do get very good results from a kitchen a lot easier. That's my position. That's it.
Just because you're bad at something,
everyone's going to say skill issue.
This is user error.
I'm probably not great at it, but I'm not good in the kitchen either, and I get better results in the kitchen. So I think I'm equivalent in both areas, and I get better results in the kitchen.
Here is the biggest tip I can give anyone grilling food who's having trouble. Get a good meat thermometer. That makes all the difference. So don't do the bullshit thing where they're like, if you squeeze your fist, that's well done. That's bullshit.
Totally.
Don't do that. Get a good meat thermometer. Learn if you're using charcoal or anything with live fire, you got to learn fire management. That's a skill that takes time. It's a lot of trial and error. You're gonna burn a few things. You're gonna undercook a few things. But after a little while, you'll get there, and it is the superior cooking method.
It doesn't seem like it would be superior because all the fat falls off into the fire.
No. The fat lands in the charcoals and it burns and comes back into the food. And
but this is what I said on the dump truck. You know what else does that? It stays right on there if it's in the pan. Like, if it's in a pan, it's all just right there cooking onto it, and you don't have to rely on reverse gravity and heat to carry it back up.
The fat dripping off the food is a small percentage of the fat in the meat if it's a good piece of meat.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Again, which is like, there are certain cuts. Like, smoking ribs, yes, come on. I'm not crazy. You could bake ribs. I'm not crazy. Of course, that's what I would want, smoked ribs, slow cooked that way. But I still don't know if that's the number one way to do it. Sous vide is better than that because you're going to get a more consistent heat the entire time.
Right.
So it's like,
I like sous vide cooking very much, but the thing is that you're never going to replicate is the actual fire grilled smoky flavor you get off a grill. You can use all the liquid smoke you want.
Right.
It's never going to equal cooking on charcoal, even grilling on. I have a pellet grill I grill on. You're never going to match that.
Right. And that smoky flavor is a big part of ribs, which is why it's like, okay, I can go a lot of ways. To me, I think I prefer tenderness. That's number one, and that's why sous vide is like really reliable for that. But clearly, that smoky flavor is huge on that. So yes, I've never done a lot of smoker grilling, so that's a blind spot for me.
What kind of grill do you have?
When I had grills in the past, I don't have one right now because we haven't bought one since we moved here. I usually just get a Weber and do charcoal grilling, the traditional round.
That's good.
I like it alive. I've used it. And I enjoy the act of grilling when I'm doing it. I'm like, it's not holy to me. That's all.
All right. This summer, if this is what you want to do, because obviously I'm not paying for it, but if you decide you want to get a grill, I will help you pick out a grill. I will come to your house and we will grill together.
Okay. Show you sounds good. Yeah. That's something.
I will help you get something nice.
All right. Fantastic.
All right. There. You heard it here, everybody. Jeff's going to feed me, but I'm going to help him feed me. All right. Chris Smith writes in, hey, Jeff and AJ. What do you think of the rumors of California? Oh, that's not California. That's Creative Assembly. California's gonna make a new Total War game.
California's a big developer.
That's everybody in the whole state's working on it.
Uh-huh.
Creative Assembly making a Total War Star Wars game, also including that they are working on 3 projects that might include Total War 40K as well. Love the streams. I would love this. There was a great golden age of Star Wars RTS games for a while where we had Empire at War. I even liked Force Commander and its weird butt rock version of the Imperial March.
Oh yeah! Wow, I memory hold that. Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, like Star Wars is very well suited for RTS, and something on this scale that a Total War could provide, I think would be amazing. I'd be so in for that.
Yeah, this is one where it's like this rumor had been going around for a long time, and I know that a couple other people occasionally we'll talk about some of these other rumor mongers, and we're like, yeah, you heard that one too? Yeah, okay, all right. But it was always, it's very early, so I'm just gonna sit on this, and everyone else was like, yeah, me too. So when DualShockers, yeah, go ahead.
It's one of those things that's it's almost too obvious.
Yeah,
so it's hard to like, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense, but like, is it actually happening? I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it is. I believe this one. I think it's happening. And I think it's a real good fit. I really hope this comes out and it's a high quality Total War game, because that would be fantastic.
You know what? I'm such a goober when it comes to RTS like this, because like, you play like a Company of Heroes, right? You get all these different kinds of tanks, all based off real life, machines, different weaponry. And I'm like, I don't know what this gun does compared to this gun. It's not intuitive to me. I don't know what beats what. If I was a World War II history buff, I'm sure I would understand this. But you put me in a Star Wars RTS, and okay, the enemy team's attacking me with AT-ATs. I better build some snow speeders. Like,
right? Yeah,
I know exactly what to do.
Yeah, and they and because it is fiction. Military fiction, they can simplify the sort of paper rock scissors of it all, where it's like, yeah, okay, so obviously the snowspeeder is very good against AT-ATs. What else can we do to build something that's good against snowspeeders? Or now there's this, and then on the ground you have these energy weapons, and what can we build to? Yeah, they just figure all that stuff out, and it all just makes intuitive sense. Where it's like, oh no, this is like a slightly more. This machine gun shoots bullets a little bit faster or something like that, because they're trying to be realistic, and that creates up to the situation that you described, where it's like, I don't really know the difference here for sure.
Sean, can you run a quick poll for me?
Sure. What you looking for?
Is it AT-AT or AT-AT?
I think it's AT-AT if you're Rebel. I think it's AT-AT if you are Empire.
That can be true.
I'm an Imperial, apparently.
I think the technical term is AT-AT. I think that's the actual thing you're supposed to say.
That's what I'm supposed to say.
You don't say an ATST for an ATST.
Maybe you don't. Skill issue. There you go. What is...
All right, well, while he works on that, Chris Pratt writes in, Miyamoto-san gave me a copy of this Mario paper game. Having a hard time because I can't stop the floopas like I did back in the day in Mario arcades. I think you got to level up to level 50, and then you get the Floompa stomping ability, right?
Exactly right. Yeah, and then you get the double Floompas. Yeah, for sure. Chris-san, we're glad you're here.
Some noob named Mike Minotti just writes in, eat poopy.
Eat poopy. All right, well, we'll get right on that. This goddamn child. Yeah, he looked professional at his professional event. He was doing good work over there.
He put lipstick on a pig, too.
Yeah. I hope you didn't embarrass yourself in front of Perky. My boss's boss's boss.
Say eat poopy on stage. Oh no, I forgot what I was doing. This is serious.
And the next all hands, I'm gonna screenshot this and show it to Perkins.
Good. All right, Connell Wood writes, COVID round 2 gave me time to finish Lost Crown. Hot take. Despite being too long, it's better than Animal Well. Also has a bespoke credits rap song.
It is better than Animal Well.
That's all you need, right?
Yep.
And I just found out Animal Well is on PS Plus. I didn't know that, so I'm gonna play it now.
God, I don't know if I knew that. I guess people probably.
Yeah, I got the app notification, like new songs.
Which tier is it on?
It must be the mid one.
Right.
I have the top one, but it's not a classic game, so yeah.
Right.
It was just in there for me. Yeah.
Fair enough. But Lost Crown, I don't know if I think that Lost Crown is too long. I guess it is, though. It's pretty long for a Metroidvania. I guess that's fair.
Yeah. All right, Willow Davis says, "Rip pouring one out for Mitch tonight. It's apple juice." Yeah,
Respect.
I wish you all could witness his aversion to apples. Like you all think you understand. You
No,
think
you
like,
really
oh, I guess he
don't.
doesn't like apples.
You really
don't get it. You truly don't.
What
get
was
it.
like when it was like the fruit? Like Dan put together a fruit plate that didn't have apples on it, and he wanted to bring it into the room, and Mike was just like, "I'll leave. I'm not joking." I can't remember if that was on camera or if we did that before. But I was like,
on camera.
I'm like, Dan,
saw it.
it was never going to work. This was never going to happen. You just don't really fully understand quite yet.
No. It really is that extreme. Like as bad as you think it is, like multiply it by 10. That's all I can say.
Gotta love apples.
All right, Brian Corliss writes, "What the hey happened to Metal Slug Tactics?"
Man, really good question. I part of me thinks either it shows up at this direct and comes out relatively soon after, or it never comes out and it's just done and we never see it again.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
It's I felt like one where it's like, man, that should have come out quite a while ago. But yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah. And it was such a good looking thing. It was such a good idea. Like we should have that.
Yeah, it's like a good idea. I guess was SNK like developing that internally? Did they bring on a team? I can't remember, but
I don't know.
A weird thing there.
Yep. All right, the last one for now from Chris Quinton, who says, "Mikey, looking sexy tonight, lol." And Jeff Swall Daddy Grubb, "When are you going to jump on the speedrun train? Tales of the Sun only has 3 runs submitted, and the top run is only about an hour. By the way, I loved the Robo Mitch figure."
Yeah, this is from Duct. Yeah, there it is. Listen, in a perfect world, I would be doing all these speed runs that these guys are doing right alongside them. I'm very busy, and like I barely have time to like stream on Twitch on my own account anymore. I really haven't done it in forever because I just don't have the time, and that's because I have 2 kids, and that stuff kind of really balloons out into all the other opportunities I would have to have leisure activities. But I would love to be doing that with all of them, and I got the Mike Tyson speed run. That was the top 100 in the world or something like that, and that was great. But that was like on content, so that was easy to keep up with. The idea of being like, okay, I am going to play Quackshot enough that I can then figure out all the tricks and kind of catch up to these guys who are all so far ahead because they've had so much more free time with it. It's like, why even start? It's just a route of pain. Now, this is why I'm so excited for NES Championship Edition, because that will be small little challenges. And like some are like a couple seconds each, like some longer ones were 30 seconds. That's stuff that I can really make work. That's why like Astro's Playroom was something that works so well. And I say that it's like I spent 80, 90 hours playing that game for speedrun stuff. Right. So once I fall down the hole, I can take over my life. But I'm trying to prevent that from happening with a game like Quackshot, where it's like, okay, I could do that. That's not content. That's not serving some greater job purpose. And I got all these other games I got to be playing. So it's hard to justify it.
I don't like replaying the same section of a game over and over. It's part of why even roguelikes, like I like Hades, but even that sometimes like I'm like playing this area for the 4th time. I did this already. Let me skip ahead or something.
Yeah, I really enjoy roguelikes these days. I still understand what you mean. I understand the feeling that you're describing. But in speedrunning, something in me breaks. And then it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to perfect this one little section, and then I can play it over and over and over again hundreds of times. But most people, they have healthy brains, and so that doesn't happen to them, and I get that.
See, I can't even do like a new game plus. Like, I just beat this game. I can't play it again right now.
I get
a long time from now.
All right,
that's it for the super chats.
Well, thank you everybody for sending those in. If you send in any more, we will get to all of them before the end of the program. Ash Guy, make sure that we remember to do that. Don't miss out on any.
Absolutely.
All right, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, it's time for the mailbag, right? We'll hit that right after this.
Mailbag.
All right.
You want to just jump right into it?
Yeah, unless Ash Guy, do you need a break or anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let me get
All
the
right,
mailbag
let's
up.
go.
Yeah, let me just get it up here real quick.
All right.
It's here and
All right. Yeah,
podcast
this goes
threads,
for
right?
me. Maybe.
They're just in the show notes.
Oh yeah, you just put in the show notes, right? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's just in show notes.
Yeah, that's right. You guys do the
Very
mailbag there.
meticulously laid out for you and
That's
everything.
right. Look at that. Thank you. All right, we'll do another break halfway through this. Christian, is that good?
Yes, that's
Okay.
perfect.
And then just let me know if we need another one after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we are back. Before we get into the mailbag, let me end this poll. Yeah, we've over 100 votes here. So, Ashgod, you want to read the results? Do you see it in chat there?
Yes. Winning with 66% of the vote is AT-AT.
Yes.
Beating out AT-AT. So
Yeah.
I'm glad my sanity is saved.
No, and I think that sounds about right. I think most of the time, most people say AT-AT because that is the actual
think
thing
so
that it's
too, but
actually
like,
called.
It has become a thing. I've every so often in Star Wars stuff, it comes up, and there's a fly in my room. Sorry, and it always drives me nuts because
Has any?
that sounds weird.
I thought a character in one of the movies or somewhere called it an at some point, but maybe not.
I don't know if it's ever been pronounced out loud.
Good point. Now that you say it, I don't even know if anyone said AT-AT.
It's funny how tangent time. Like in Star Wars, like things never are named in the films, but we all know what they're called.
Yeah, it's like
no one ever said, "Hey, Boba Fett," like until Return of the Jedi, but like we all knew who he was.
right. Well, I mean, we knew who he was because he was in the holiday special before he was in Empire Strikes Back.
Of course.
So, and everyone watched that. But yeah, it's like like those technical manuals and the Encyclopedia Star Wars. Those kinds of books have been around for forever and always sold well. So I do wonder, like, how did people who like weren't picking up those books, because like that information spread beyond just that core nerdum. And so and I definitely remember like knowing all these things. I'm like, I don't know how I knew that. Like Mustafar.
Did they even say Ewok in the movie?
I
don't think they do.
God, I think C-3PO probably says it at some point.
Does he?
I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where like I would like to like look at someone studying like the mimetic spread of Star Wars like nerdy ideas and stuff like that, and how, because like the idea that Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker fought Obi-Wan on a lava planet. How did everyone know that? Yeah, we all knew that. And it's like I think someone just like watched it.
Mandela effect. Yeah.
Someone watched the documentary, or maybe George Lucas mentioned like, oh, maybe one day that'll happen, and then someone told their friend, and they told their friend, and then everyone just knew. So, yeah. Wow.
Now, bro, it's the Force. We know it because of the Force.
That's probably what it is. Good point. All right, let's get to the mailbag.
According to my quick binging, the word Ewok is never spoken in Return of the Jedi.
Man,
that's so weird.
Incredible.
It appears in the credits. Okay, it appears in the credits.
Okay, sure. And that's the kind of movie where fans would definitely be picking that stuff up.
Right.
All right. Mailbag submission. Every once in a while on this show, every 2 weeks or so, we do a mailbag. People send in their questions. We pick the best and we answer them. And it turns out they're all the best, so we pick the best of the best. Let's go here with Bikes and Brews, who says, is it true that you are Mike's smarter brother?
I mean, just look at our report cards from children. The proof is there. Actually, here's a fun little story. I don't want you to embarrass them too much, but Mike and Chris both got in trouble once in high school because their grades were falling a little behind. I mean, they got like B's instead of A's. It was very Minotti. And I think I was either in college or I was a senior or something, and my dad was kind of berating them a bit. And he said, listen, you can't just pull an AJ. All right, he gets by, and he just does his thing, but you guys need to study more.
Oh, I bet they love that. That's a fun thing to hear.
Oh yeah.
Boy. So the answer clearly is yes.
AJ.
Yep, pull an AJ. There you go. Screaming Madden says, hey, Jeff, I need my Proggies Grubb, and AJ too cool for Blight Club Minotti. With a remake of Super Mario RPG out and a remake of The Thousand Year Door releasing in 2 days, what do you all think is the future of Mario RPGs? You think Nintendo will continue to remake more classic Mario RPGs, or will Nintendo make a new Mario RPG series in the future? They probably just do another Paper Mario, right? That's probably what they'll do.
I want them to go back to Mario RPG. Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, like that's what I want. Like we've got so many Paper Mario games of varying quality levels. You know, let's go back to the Mario RPG. Let's bring back Gino and Mallow. Let's go back to that art style and do something new with it because it could be so good. Yep,
I would love that. I think. I wouldn't even hate if like Square Enix made it again, because Square Enix, team up with Nintendo, have the the team that's been
They're
doing
looking for
like
safe projects.
right, and have the team that like have been doing like either HD 2D games or Bravely Default, like have them come in and work on it and just like make sure that Nintendo's there to be like, hey, actually make it fun, which is an important part of that process. Bench JC says, did you expect Nintendo to be someone who bought a studio from Embracer? Was not expecting that. No. They bought, who's the last company they bought before that? It was like some software technology group or whatever. I can't remember. But yeah, either way, it's like it's so infrequent that I'm like, well, they just did it in the last couple of years, so they're not going to do it again. But it's like, it turns out like it was another opportunity that looks exactly like the kind of thing that Nintendo does spend money on. A small little team that provides a specific service and isn't going to be a huge cost to them. So it worked out just fine.
It's never what you think, like, oh, this third party made a game with our IP that did well. Well, let's acquire them so they can keep doing that. They don't do that.
You're right. Yeah. Those teams stay independent forever until either they keep making games in the exact same way, or they make one bad game and they financially fail and they close down, which is a bad thing.
Yes.
But that's just the way Nintendo does it. All right. Symbiosis says, mechanically, what could they possibly improve in Metroid Prime 4? Metroid has always given you a lot of tools, but has always had a rigid structure. Do they plan to lean into a gimmick like the Emmys from Dread, the EMMIs, which is those robot guys? Do they let you get more experimental with tools and physics a la Tears of the Kingdom, or do they stick to the formula? I think for Metroid Prime 4, they could probably just introduce one or two relatively new and novel tools, right? That really like change things up and do give you a chance to experiment a little bit, but they don't have to turn the formula on its head at this point, because they can just be like, here's another very good one of those. You're welcome. And then if it does really well, and they decide we're going to make a Metroid Prime 5, then maybe you start taking some bigger chances. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's been long enough since 3 that I think you can stick to the formula and people still be excited, especially if like, if it is like a Switch 2 game and it's like graphically impressive and look what they've done with this and you thought it looked good before and wow, and just lean into the series strengths. Have that one slight gimmick that you sometimes have where Metroid Prime 2 had its kind of Dark World thing going on. Maybe find something like that. But I think generally you stick to the structure.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't think it has to be some huge departure. That's not where we're at with Metroid games at this moment. Jake S says, got a Miu Mini Plus and I'm loving it. Just played and beat Metroid Fusion for the first time. Playing through Metroid Zero Mission now. Any recommendations to play next? I have been enjoying a lot of those like fan-made DX Game Boy Color games. I just
Mega Man 5 is excellent.
Yes, Super Mario Land DX was actually a really good way to play that. Obviously that just came out on Switch, but I'm like, I have the Pocket there. I'm just gonna let the kids keep using the Switch. I'll just play it on there, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I have the fan made one that like looks really good, and they updated the graphics, and that was great. And I had like a whole list of these other ones, so that stuff is pretty cool. I don't know. I'm also enjoying going and getting a lot of English translated ROMs that never came out here. The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls is a recent one. So yeah, I don't know. Things like that is where I'm leaning right now. And then I always like recommend the weird Game Boy Advance games like Stuntman and things like that. How about you? Any recommendations?
Well, it sounds like you like Metroidvania, so definitely get into the Castlevania games. At the very
without
least,
a doubt.
Do Aria of Sorrow. That's my absolute favorite Castlevania game. If you want to get into a cool ROM hack, I started playing it after you guys were talking about it on a show. Pokemon Radical Red.
Sure.
Which is really slick. If you ever liked a Pokemon game, this is like like all this stuff that you're like, God, if Nintendo would just do this, Pokemon would be so much better. And like they just they did it because they're like adult fans who think the same way. So that's very fun. I'm enjoying that so far. I just started it, but it's cool.
That's neat. Tell you what, I like the Analog Pocket a lot, and I'm still craving new handhelds all the time. So that Miu Mini Plus, I'm glad it's a sickness. Yes, absolutely. I did finally reach out to Ambernick. I'm like, can we just send these to me so I can review them? Detlef Shrimp. I'm going to say. There's an F at the end. Yeah, there's an F at the end. There you go. I've been thinking a lot about Hi-Fi Rush since the Tango closure. While undoubtedly a critical success, and despite Xbox PR statement, it seems like people just didn't buy or play it. Its all-time high player count on Steam is only 6,000. It seems silly to say, but are we leaving out part of the conversation around this and other critical darlings / sales failures that unfortunately being a good game alone just isn't good enough in today's marketplace? I don't think we're leaving it out. I think that's like the conversation here, that the game is good and it didn't make enough money, or the studio wasn't making enough money. And this is one of the things that was supposed to change that, and it didn't. And so they closed it. I mean, that is the story. That is what happened here. So is that frustrating? 100%, because at a certain point you're like, well, listen, make good games and the rest should fall into place. And it's like, well, it's not going to always happen every time, but you made the good game. You did the hard part. And things just didn't break your way, but maybe you make another good game even based on that, and now the word of mouth is built up, and you can capitalize on that success from before, and that's what I thought was happening here, and it turns out that wasn't the case. So
it's so hard to create new IP, and they did.
Right.
Like, because now that IP has to be dead. You can't bring out Hi-Fi Rush 2 from a new studio and expect people to buy into it.
Never, I don't think you can.
Drum up all these angry feelings.
Yep. So it's
weird. So weird.
It's like abandoning something when it's halfway through this idea of hey, is this a project we can build on? And it's like, nope, we're just gonna pull the rug out from the entire thing.
That's like the Phoenix Labs closure. The developers of Dawn. They had layoffs and they had a game that was like apparently just about to get announced, and it just got canceled so they could refocus on Dauntless. And it's like, look, I like Dauntless. I played it for like 2 years, but that was in 2019.
Yep.
I've got my fill. Even if unless there's like a substantial update, which they haven't done since 2020, I'm not going to go back to it. I'm not going to spend money on it. You know what I would have spent money on? A new game.
Yep.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but these companies are just afraid to invest in this moment when it's like, man, it feels like now's the time to act, because it's going to bounce back, and you want to be ready to strike at that point, and now you won't be. But you're right. So you're right. I don't get it. All right. The Uncharted Wolf writes in. It says, glad to have AJ on the show tonight. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Jeff completely on Animal Well. While the game's puzzles and visuals are incredible, I feel that the Metroidvania design does the game a disservice more than anything, making me feel lost, making the feeling of being lost more frustrating, and the lack of real rewards a massive turnoff for me. What about you guys? Am I crazy for this take? Did you play this at all? I know you said it was on PSN, but I don't know if you picked it up.
No, so like I said, now that I found out it's on PS Plus, I'm gonna at least try it. Like, I've hearing kind of the whole like community puzzle solving aspect of it. I was like, well, let me go kind of radio dark on it until I do play it, because I don't want to ruin anything, I guess. So I truly don't know much about it.
Yeah, so my recommendation is play along with someone else. I didn't do that, and I think that was part of me maybe missing out on, like, well, instead of getting lost, just say, well, I'm here, I wish I knew where to go next. Someone would know the level of hint that you need. And so I would say play with a buddy, use the buddy system. That would be a good way to approach this game. That said, yeah, I think Wolf is right. Like, I think the structure of the game is a little bit of a disservice, at least for what I'm looking for from a puzzle game like this. I want a lot of puzzles that build on one another. And the game's like, here are a few here and there after you search for them for a while. And so it's hard for me to get into that flow. That said, it's a gorgeous game. I'm glad I played it. I wasn't going to stick with it past that. All right, let's see here. Joy Z writes in. With the seemingly ever-increasing popularity of handheld game consoles, do you think that AAA devs will start to structure / pace their games to better fit that playstyle? Smaller screen, playing in shorter bursts, playing while watching TV, etc. Or do you think they still see them as an add-on, with the large screen, long session, focus playstyle being the default? This is interesting. I have no insight into like the telemetry data that these companies use to help them to like decide how they're going to design their games, Ash Guy. But I imagine like some people are like, maybe we should be building these games as like second screen experiences. And I bet like the success of something like a Balatro is like, man, that's something that just fits into people's lives wherever they're playing it, whether it's a laptop, computer, phone, Steam Deck, Switch. It just works. And look how that has benefited that game. So I think there will be more of that, but I think for the vast majority of major developers, they're going to build the game that they're building. And then, hey, if the Steam Deck enables people to play it a little bit more, great. And if it doesn't, so what? But they're going to make the game they're making. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, when I hear smaller screens, shorter play sessions, watching TV, I just think phone. Like that's what the phone is for.
Sure.
The console PC is for the bigger experience. And I feel like the strength of the handheld gaming console is it's good at both. So kind of depending what I want to do and where I am, if I've got my Steam Deck with me, I'm covered. If I want to have a slightly nicer experience of playing something like a Balatro, which I'm trying to say correctly.
Yeah,
I heard you
Balatro, yeah.
I could do it on my Steam Deck, even though like a mobile version's coming. I'd rather play on the Steam Deck, but I could still get out my Steam Deck and play Fallout 4 on it, and that's great too. I think what goes a long way towards supporting things like a handheld game console is ensuring your game is very easy to pick up and play, and that means saving anywhere. Skippable cutscenes if you need that to be a thing.
It doesn't
cutscenes
it doesn't break if I put it into sleep mode. Right? It's not like we lost connection with the server. Time to freak out. Like that sort of stuff.
Remember, like the Steam Deck has that feature like that they built into Steam where you can be like, if you're playing on your Steam Deck and you put it to sleep, it'll create a save file and upload it to the cloud. And if you go on your PC, it'll pull that. Like that's a thing.
Yep.
And the only game I play that use that is the Spider-Man PC port.
Oh, really? Huh.
Which is odd. Like of all the games, like they did it, and it's cool because it worked super well. But like no other game does that.
Right. For every other game, you have to like shut down the game before it's uploads a save. Right. Okay.
And then like when you woke up the Steam Deck from sleep, it would know like, oh, you updated the save. Hang on, let me reload, and it would just kind of handle.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. Oh, okay. Yeah. I hope that becomes default because that would be fantastic for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Just no one supports it. It's weird.
I think overall though, like the kinds of things that make developing a game that would be good in short bursts, that's a good rule of thumb, I think, for every game. And like right now I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima, and I am playing that in short bursts, but that's not the way it was designed, like to necessarily be played. They just made it so it's like, well, yeah, if you do one of these little things relatively quickly, that will just make the pacing feel better overall. And the fact that like I can play for 10 to 15 minutes at a time and feel like I'm making steady progress in that game just speaks to them understanding that at a larger level. And it just so happens to make it work really well on a handheld device. But that's just because they made a game that had good pacing. So, yeah.
The other thing too is like at this point now in 2024 with Steam Deck, Roger Ally, all that, there's no excuse for your game not to work on these things.
Yes.
Maybe Fortnite's big enough it doesn't need to be on the Steam Deck, even though that drives me nuts. But like Destiny 2 in a weird spot with a big expansion out this summer, and you're gonna tell me no, you can't play it on your Steam Deck? Yeah. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Like, because I would absolutely.
It's gonna come and kill your family if you do that. You're gonna even if you can.
It's wild.
Like I need to be able to pick up my Steam Deck and like if I want to like run a dungeon, I would absolutely do that. That'd be a great way to experience that game. But they don't want to put in the time, so I'm not gonna probably play the game.
Yep, same. Right. That's where I'm at with gaming overall. Yeah, right. Yep. I'm not going to really change the way I'm doing things. I'd rather the companies just figure it out. All right. Crouching Boomer Hidden Zoomer wrote, AJ, what's the worst thing Mike has whined about in Disney or at Disney? I guess
I have the answer.
All right.
So this was a trip when we were teenagers. We had just arrived to our resort. We drove this trip. And we like got settled into the room, put all our stuff away, and we were gonna go out to one of the parks. I don't remember what park. And in the time it took us to get in the room and start putting stuff away, Mike fell asleep. And I don't just mean like sat down and fell asleep. He got in the bed with his clothes off under the blankets, asleep. And so when we're all dressed, we're ready to go. And we're like, come on, Mike, we're gonna go. He's like, no, I'm tired. It's like, Mike, wake up. We want to go to Disney World. Can we please go? So we actually have a picture of like me and Chris like shoving him and hitting him, trying to wake him up to rouse him from slumber so we could go to Disney World, which was, 5 minutes over there.
Oh man, that's a big walk though for Mikey. So did he actually, he ended up getting up and everything?
Oh God. Okay, I'm sorry, I gotta tell that.
Please.
This was a few years back. I think we were there before my dad got married. We did a guys trip. So me, my dad, my brothers, and we were staying at the Grand Floridian. We were at the Polynesian at Trader Sam's at the bar there to have a drink. These resorts are right next to each other. And it's under construction now. By the time there's a beautiful walking trail between the two resorts. You go past the wedding chapel. It's along the Seven Seas Lagoon. It's less than a mile. Beautiful, beautiful walking path. It's like 11 o'clock at night. We're done at the bar. Like, oh, let's go back to the room. And Mike gets out his phone. Like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm calling an Uber. So what are you talking about? It's right. It's right over there. He goes, no, it's too far. Chris, we're walking. So he like paid $12 and called an Uber to drive him like a half mile around the corner. I think we might have beat him too.
I'm sure. Yeah, probably with the weight and everything. Yeah.
So
we will be in LA, and I could tell it's like I'm like, it's a 10-minute walk. Can we get away with that? And there's always like that moment where like Mike's like, basically, no, that's not okay. I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough. Like I don't love walking in LA either because usually it's like a warm. And that's frustrating. I don't want to be all sweaty. So I'll like give in, release. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. We'll do it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, it's definitely going to be quicker. We could just go, but it's LA, not a very walkable city.
Mike is in the chat saying, Mikey was sleepy.
Okay, in his defense, being sleepy, that's a big deal. I would almost rather sleep than just about anything else. Right. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, a lot more from the mailbag. All right.
Break. They really did said that the Bungie was like, if you run the game and we found out, we're gonna ban you forever.
Yeah.
Like, wow, chill out.
They're serious about it.
You're gonna stop me from playing Destiny 2? You really want to take that chance? Okay.
They're like, apparently.
I wonder, have they ever said anything like about it in the last 2 years? Like they haven't really.
I think they said like, yeah, we're not gonna do it. I think that was the
right. They made it sound very final.
That's nuts.
And it's like I bet if people ask about it now, they just point to that. So
I just don't know how you do that in 2024. I truly don't.
It's Bungie. They do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I think it's just like
a live services game. You think they're not gonna kill that,
I think it's
version
like,
of the game?
It can work backward from like an engineer being like, no, Linux would be crazy. We're not gonna make a Linux version of this game. But it's like that's not really what people are asking for. Not really. All right.
It doesn't have to be Linux. Like you just have to get your anti-cheat working, which every other game except Fortnite is figured out. Like I could play Apex, I could play Rocket League. It all works.
All right. We ready to get back into it?
Yeah, let's go. Do it.
And we're back. And let's just get right back into the mailbag. I got Chaos Buckaroo here who writes in to say, howdy, fellas. What has been Nintendo's weirdest pricing decision on Switch? $40 Metroid Prime and $30 Bayonetta stand out. Yeah, I mean, how much did 1-2 Switch cost? Or everybody's 1-2 Switch, I should say. Because I thought that one was like $50 or something like that.
Probably was.
It maybe wasn't quite that much. But whatever that game cost was too much. $40 Metroid Prime was a little bit weird to me. I'm like, that felt like they could have got away with a lot more for that one. I'm not really complaining.
Their weirdest price decision, in my opinion, is $80 Joy-Con pairs.
Yeah.
Because if they were a little cheaper, do you know how many more Joy-Cons so many more people would have?
Yeah, I wonder, like, they understand that. So why, like, I wonder why they do. I mean, I feel like $80 is enough to make you like stop and think, like, no, I don't actually need new colors of Joy-Cons. Right.
If they were even 60, you know, cool color comes out, yeah, I'll pick that up.
I agree.
Cool, I'll swap these around. Like,
yeah, I mean, but I mean, listen, they definitely still sell a lot of Joy-Con and a lot of Joy-Cons, and yeah. So I wonder if they're like, nah, listen, we're gonna get that money and it's gonna work out for us in the end. But I'm like, I don't know, because I probably would have bought a couple more pairs of official if they were $60. That's true. Man, the profit margins on those things must be enormous, like just
astronomical,
95% or some wild shit like that.
It's also weird too. They didn't just make like the Joy-Con Pro that has like better sticks and buttons on the back and all that stuff. Like, you know, third parties did.
Yep.
I own a couple.
Yes, I get those all the time.
It would have been nice to have the Nintendo one.
Overall, I for as much as like the Joy-Cons are beleaguered, I think that it's a good idea to have these things so interchangeable so that I can just put whatever I want on there. That's been great. Mm-hmm. Mr. Bowler says, if Nintendo were to announce a remake of Hotel Mario for the Switch at the Direct in June, how many copies do you honestly think they could sell? Well, I mean, it's good to depend how good it is, right? I mean, if it's a remake, that implies that they're remaking it from the ground up. And let's say it's decent, so it's like a low 80, high 70s on Metacritic. If that's the case, it sells at least 1 million copies. because it's got Mario
What
in
do
the
they
name.
price it at?
Even if it's $60, it still sells a million copies, I think.
Yeah, this day and age, anything like how many people, with kids know what Hotel Mario was? They're just gonna see a Mario game and get it for their kids.
Yeah, I mean, I rented
They're not
it
gonna get
because of that, or what? Maybe it was Hotel Mario is Missing is the one I rented, but same idea.
Hotel Mario was that was CDI, right?
CDI, yeah, I think it was just CDI. But it's like same idea where it's like, all right, Mario's missing. I love Mario. I want to find him. I want to find that fucker. What's going on with him? So I would rent that. And that was not good either.
We had Mario Missing on the PC with the voice acting.
That
was
wow.
wild.
Okay.
That was wild in the 90s.
Yeah, we're right. It must have been a CD game, right? Because it was on CDI. So yeah, on PC would have had CD as well. Beefhammer says, Beefhammer, famous ally of Mike Minotti, says,
You say so.
Gentlemen, I saw the Final Fantasy XIV Cross Mountain Dew rewards and went to investigate. During this, I discovered that Mountain Dew also has rewards tied to Baja Blast, and I was asked to register an account specifically for Mountain Dew Baja Blast. What moment in history caused us to enter this wrong timeline? Listen, the marketing success of Baja Blast can't be understated. It was like this massive success for Taco Bell and the Yum brands and PepsiCo and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, it was the weird thing. So like it was this mythical thing because you could only get a Taco Bell for decades. And but it's been in stores for years now. But you still so associate with like I still see it like at the checkout aisle. I'm like, oh, they have Baja Blast. You can only get that at Taco Bell.
Right.
It's not true, but you still think it. So it's like special.
Yes. It's like they really figured that stuff out. So, I mean, listen, I don't know if it all goes back to Mountain Dew Baja Blast, but their ability to like make that feel like a special club, that's definitely where we lost some of God's light. So yeah.
I take issue with the way Beefhammer has framed this, because let me tell you, those rewards are worth it. Jeff, I am so close to that Hawaiian shirt. I am still getting that daily scan in. Taste it.
This is my problem now. It's summer at work, so all the students are gone. If they were in the office, I could be getting all their Mountain Dew off of them. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
See, I missed out.
I hope you're able to get that Hawaiian shirt, because that looks really cool. That's like
Thank you. They're unfortunately out of the standard Baja one, but they have a new one. The Doritos Baja one.
Oh,
arguably even better.
That's definitely better. All right.
I did enjoy, for those of you who will get the meme, it was Emmett Selk holding a Mountain Dew bottle, him saying, I have redeemed 1,000 of your codes.
Weezeman writes in to say, hey, yo, doggos. So what's the deal with Eternal Sonata? Why does it all take place in the delirious dreams of a piano man? The combat's pretty cool, though. I don't think it has anything to do with Billy Joel, to be fair.
Mike, this is the one that Chris liked, right?
This is the one that Chris liked. This is about Chopin, however you say his name. Chopin, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother Chris, who just does not like JRPGs, was just a huge mark for Eternal Sonata. And we to this day, like he got the Xbox 360 faceplate for this game on his 360.
Okay.
That's where he was with this.
Man. So that, I mean, the deal with it is that, Chopin is like the piano man, the piano player, like the piano composer of all time. Why did they make a JRPG based on him? I don't know. Piano's a popular instrument around the world. I know it's very popular in Japan. It's probably just that simple. I've never really even seen this game in action. I just assumed it's a JRPG like any other.
Yeah, I don't know how it plays either. I just know Chris got every achievement in the game.
That's incredible.
It's so wild.
Casual writes in, AJ, does it ever so slightly annoy you that some people refer to you as Mike's brother instead of the leader of 90s Disney? P.S. Jeff, please bring back the 8-bit cover pre-show music. Whenever I do that, we do get copyright strike, or not strike. We get dinged. We get hit. So yeah, probably not.
Yeah, it honestly astounds me. I don't even know how it happened. Shoot, I shouldn't say this in front of him. Somehow I got away with starting every episode of 90s Disney as I am your host, AJ Minotti, joined by my brothers. And they've never stopped me. So.
I think they're just like, I think in their eyes, that's like, okay, so if things go bad or if there's more work, it's on you. Because this is his show. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. Damn it, it is my show.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike says I let you have that one.
Yeah, that
Listen,
one seems only fair.
I will understand that at this point Mike is the more famous Minotti. He could go out into a stage at certain areas of the world and be recognized, and
Yes.
I cannot.
Get a pop. Exactly.
I'll let him have that.
Daniel from Fargo writes, the chat about Team Asano a week or two ago led me to poke around a bit, and I found that Square Enix has teased an announcement for a new Bravely Default game this year. Do you think that Square Enix's whole rethinking how we approach games thing might have an effect on its announcement / release? I would say that game wouldn't be as safe as like a Final Fantasy IX remake or Final Fantasy Tactics. That would be my assumption. I don't know how well that it's Bravely Default, Bravely Second, and then Bravely Default 2, right? I don't know how well Bravely Default 2 did. So
I think it's a modern, successful enough series that it's probably got a better chance in like bringing back like an old game like another Secret of Mana or something like that. Like at least it's more current.
Yeah.
So it's a little safer in that regard.
Yeah, and it's people do really like those games, so I don't think it's like doomed for sure or anything like that. But listen, yeah, if your question is there a chance that this could be affected by the change in strategy over at Square Enix? 100% it could be, but we don't know yet. We'll see. Allie Miracle writes in, I'm for this pro Little Kitty Big City talk as of late. Not to give too much spoiler of the end, but it's good vibes mixed with the reward of the end. Really got me in the feels since I played that game thinking it was my longtime black kitty that passed away during the pandemic. Oh, that's sweet. Any games as of late get you emotionally? I always find it a nice surprise when a game can do that to us.
My go-to answer for this is always Ori and the Blind Forest.
Sure, yeah.
I think I've told Sir before. I'll do the quick version. So I was playing it when it came out in March of 2015, and my wife was pregnant with our twin daughters, and it was actually St. Patrick's Day when I was told like we got to go to the hospital. Stuff's happening. We're probably gonna have the girls. And I was like, okay, so we go to the hospital and they ended up sending us home, even like after a nurse was like, oh, you're having babies. We're like, oh, cool. And then they're like, nah, you guys are good. Go home. I'm like, oh. So then I went home that night and ended up beating the game and discovering, spoiler for Ori and the Blind Forest, that like it's actually the story of like parents protecting their children. And I got like weirdly emotional about that. And then the next day we ended up back in the hospital and had the kids. So that was like a weird, like very hard line in the sand where I went from not parent to parent.
Yes.
With that game.
Okay, yeah, that would hit very hard in that moment. Yeah, like nothing recently, Allie. But I have been thinking more and more about like how hard Octodad got me, because the kids were playing that the other day, and I was like, man, why does this game affect me so much? Because it's not like trying to do that necessarily. But it was just like, you know, this imposter syndrome writ large and gamified. And I've always been more affected by that than any game that was like, we're definitely going to make you cry. Here's What's Wrong with Edith Finch, or whatever the fuck that game is called. We killed a baby. Does that make you cry? I'm like, no, I feel manipulated. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. But Little Kitty Big City, I'm gonna see that through because the kids have been playing it. And it has been like fun to grow an attachment to that cat and that character, and it's been good so far.
And my daughter Olivia, she played it on the Xbox. I didn't follow up with her to see what she thought about it. I have to ask her tomorrow.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, be excited to hear. You're going to be back on Game Mess Decides on Thursday, so we can find out then.
Yeah, I should be here.
All right, next one is from B. When has there been more world peace in the world than the announcement of Kingdom Hearts on Steam, a potential Fortnite collab, and Midori leaking out a Switch 2 version of the series along with Kingdom Hearts 4? Go ahead and try.
I missed this Midori thing. What's that?
Midori is a popular leaguer who's been doing a lot more stuff with Nintendo recently.
I thought it was like the liqueur.
Might be also, who knows? Maybe they got into the leaking game. And basically it's like, yeah, there's going to be Switch 2 native versions of, I think, all the Kingdom Hearts games. I didn't look at it too closely because I don't care. But then also they're like, and Kingdom Hearts 4 will be on Switch 2. And I'm like, okay, all of that sounds like it makes a ton of sense. So after the cloud version, but like, you know, debacle that they did on the original Switch.
Oh yeah. Well, so this was announced, and my big question is that they don't have like the listing for the collection of everything on Steam yet. None of these have prices. If that whole collection is priced reasonably, I might go for it. Chat, I need your help here. I had this weird fantasy today that like maybe this is how I start doing some streaming. I stream the entirety of Kingdom Hearts because I've only ever finished the first one. I like the idea of, Disney and Final Fantasy collabing still, even though it gets away from that a little bit. Maybe this is my on point. So if you guys would like to,
if I don't have to play those games, I'm mostly fine with them. So like I know that people are like the story's convoluted and confusing. I don't. That's never been my complaint. Not really. I think it's fun to make fun of, but that's just a joke. I just don't enjoy. I didn't enjoy playing that first game quite often. I like the idea of those games still a lot. So I'll watch that stream. Maybe that's a good way to actually engage with that series.
There you go. I'll give it some thought. Again, like you said, time is the issue for me.
Yeah, totally.
I'd love to do it, but it's like, can I really commit to a streaming schedule? Lord.
Oh yeah, no way. That said, has there ever been more world peace? Yes, almost certainly.
Yes, there definitely has.
It was fun to I just tweeted no, and that was just because I saw Mike tweeted yes. I'm like, okay, I'll just let everyone know that I disagree. Always Be Clothing writes in, if you had to look like a professional at a big business conference, what T-shirt would you choose to put under your business coat?
I already own it. I have it all ready to go.
It's
a reference to Journey into Imagination. It's a brown T-shirt that says, "What about science, science, science" on it. So if you know, you know. I
do think that there is something about Disney and Disney related shirts, whether it's like Mickey Mouse, like a Mickey Mouse shirt under a sports coat or a blazer, looks completely fine. Like there's something about that feels like, oh, I'm fun but business. And I think Mike with the Rocketeer shirt, that's what ABC is referencing here. I think that's actually a pretty good look. I think he pulls that off. And I think like having a shirt that is based on Disney World also is something I think that people would be completely fine with. So, yeah, I have that one of Mickey Mouse going camping. So I would wear that one because I think it's a cute shirt. Yes. All right, that does it for the mailbag. I think what we're going to do now is let's take one more quick break here. We'll come back. We'll do the rest of the super chats, and then we'll talk about what we've been playing.
Okay.
Perfect. We are on a
baller. All right. Ready to wrap this up?
Yep.
I'll shift.
Let's do
it.
it.
Go. Yeah.
Okay. When we come back, I'll send over to the super chats. We'll do that.
Yeah, let me cue those up.
And we're back. Suck it down, Daikatana. Sorry, I just saw my my physical copy of Daikatana sitting on my shelf, and it just burst out of me. So,
Daika Grubba?
100% the name of that show, Daika Grubba. You know what? We have more super chats. I saw those coming in. Thank you, everybody. Ash Guy, why don't you read those for me?
Yeah, from Epic Wallpapers, and he says, I have 100 hours on Balatro.
Yeah,
thanks to you guys.
I love that game. It's one of the times where it's like, oh yeah, we can like influence things a little bit. I had dinner with Barrett Courtney from Kind of Funny, who's in town. We were eating dinner last night. Got to meet his dad, very nice guy. And he mentioned like he picked up Balatro for his fantasy critic thing, which I had heard him talk about. But he's like specifically because he was listening to Jan talk about it the very first time Jan brought it up on the Bombcast because he had played it, when it was in some demo thing. And then him being like, they're all so mad at me. Everyone at Kind of Funny's mad at him because they're like, you cheated because you listened to a podcast to find out about that game. And I thought very, very funny.
Yeah, you know why that game worked too? It has a little bit of what I call that Geometry Wars 2 effect where like everybody's playing it and talking about it and comparing scores and strategies and runs. Like it's that I feel like that's
social currency, yeah.
Off a bit. Yeah, that social currency was huge for that game.
Agreed.
All right, El Grug says, so you get that Anbernic SP handheld?
I did. Yeah, absolutely. I think as soon as you could pre-order it, basically I did, or very quickly after. There is a Game Mess Mornings. Game Mess Mornings from Friday. I remember because Tam was there. You can hear me pre-order that device because I did it live on the air as soon as the show started. Someone like put it in chat, and I was like, well, that's what I'm doing right now. I don't care that we're doing a show. So yeah, I have one pre-ordered. I might get another one to like have as like a potential gift for someone at some point. it's nice to have like those make really good gifts. They're not super expensive, so it's not prohibitive to do that. But I'm also reaching out to Ambernick. I would very much like to not have to wait for my pre-order to come. I'm like, can you just send me one now? I'll keep my pre-order, but I would like to get one now so we could actually do some coverage. We'll see if they get back to me. I don't know.
So this thing's only $65.
Yeah, and it's using.
Is that right? Am I looking at the right thing?
Right. I think there was actually for a couple of days there where it was even cheaper. They had a discount for the first couple of days. So I think I had it for like $58, $59, before shipping and taxes and everything.
Yeah, I might have to get these like for my kids for Christmas because actually it was funny.
Great for that. Yes.
I had the Pocket out and my daughter saw it and she's like, Dad, I think it'd just be cool to have a Game Boy. And I was like, yeah, but then I got to like buy a bunch of games and everything. But boy, like I just got them like these and loaded them up.
And Ambernick just kind of just comes with them. Like they don't, they just include the ROMs out of the gates. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I have them all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's worth it to like actually curate that a little bit better. I found.
Right.
But yeah, that SP, it's using the same chipset that they've been using in a lot of their devices that are all very, very solid. So, Retro Game
there was
Corps
something to that SP form factor. That felt so good.
It was amazing.
Because you never had to worry about that thing in your pocket. Nothing has been as pocketable ever since.
Yep.
Even the DS and 3DS were a little too big. Even your phone in your pocket, you're like, oh, it's gonna like rub against a coin and scratch the screen in my pocket or something goofy.
Yep.
There was never any worry about the Game Boy Advance SP.
And it just like, actually finally getting a backlit screen after never having one on a Game Boy in America before that moment. That ruled. And just, I don't know, something about just always having that device with me, fitting in my pocket, not having to worry about it because of the clamshell design as you described. I have massive affinity for
jack.
it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I was like, wait, does it? Yep, there it is.
I definitely like a Retro Game Course review came up and I was like, this is going to fix the hole in my heart. And then I was listening to Never Been a Better podcast, which is like the Beastcast successor podcast they do over on Nextlander. And Austin was basically said the same thing. He's like, I think if I held one right now, it would fix me. I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel. I love that. I love the SP that much.
That's good. All right. Last super chat for now from Dicene. Just a heads up, Seamless Co-op Elden Ring does let you use Torrent. Just got to get him like normal from Melina. Also, same person made Seamless Co-op Armored Core 6 with co-op and invasions added in. Yeah,
I did hear about that Armored Core 6 stuff. I want to do that too. I listen, everyone really loves Elden Ring. That was easy to pull off. I know Dan likes Armored Core 6, but I'm not sure necessarily if that has the same effects. I know we go in there and I don't know. That just seems so chaotic. I don't know, but I would like to give it a try. I think I'm going to go into my Seamless Co-op save and I'm going to go get Torrent. So I have him and it'll be very funny if I have him and no one else does.
No one else does.
I think I'm trying to think if I have does my character come forward as long as I launch the Seamless version? I'm gonna have to look into this. So yeah, either way, like I can't wait to play more of that. That was such a good time.
Cool. Well, that's the super chat for now. If you still want someone in before the end of the show, we will read it.
Yeah, that we will.
Now, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Ash Guy. Yeah, thank you. I beat Super Mario Land, I think, for the first time. I say I think because I've definitely played it a bunch of times before, and it's so short. It's like I must have just beaten it, and then and then what probably happened was it's like, oh, it's over. That was quick, and then it was like so quick I didn't even register that as like a full game or something like that. Right. But yeah, I definitely beat it this time, and it's not great. Super Mario Land, it just doesn't feel right. I love just about all the other stuff about it. I actually like its lo-fi look, which I did. You could turn on like I said, I was playing the DX version. And they redid the graphics, but you can like swap out the original graphics, and I did that, and I kind of like those too. But that music's still pretty good. I think it turns out I like the main theme that you get right away, and then the rest of the themes are pretty good. It's Hip Tanaka, so they're all pretty good. But that main theme is fantastic.
Yeah.
Overall, though, it's like this was you could tell it was not the Mario team making a Mario for the first time, and it doesn't translate well.
It's the kind of game, if I gave it to my kids now, they'd be like, what is this? Like, this is not Mario. It would feel like a calculator game to them.
Honestly, it really does feel like if someone ported Mario to TI-85. 100% it feels that way.
But, like, I have the nostalgia for this game. I
Sure.
played a crap ton as a kid because that's all you had.
Yeah,
You
and
had to make
the
do.
cover art was so good, so suggestive
good.
of this world. And so when I'm playing, it's like, oh yeah, here it is, the submarine that I always saw on the cover, and that's not great either. But I don't really care because I'm like, it's just novel and interesting, and it was great not to because when by the time I got the Game Boy from my parents, it was just packed in with Tetris, and that's what I had, and I wasn't worried about getting the Mario game because we had Tetris and I got something else, and so I'd never really owned Super Mario Land until much later, and it never felt like I was missing much because it wasn't great. So that was fine, and the Game Boy could feel like a completely distinct Nintendo system because it wasn't relying on the same kinds of games necessarily right out of the gate. But yeah, and then Super Mario Land 2 came along, and that's a much better game overall. And then other than that, it's Little Kitty Big City, a lot of that on the Switch, and it's definitely still that situation where Emmy's playing on her Switch, Addie's playing on the Switch that her and I share. And that I occasionally, when I'm playing it, I'm like playing on the Steam Deck, but I'm mostly helping them with things here and there. But it's still just fun to watch them figure out how to play a game and solve a lot of these problems on their own because I'm busy and they want to keep playing. So they're powering through, and it's a really good game for that. So I've been very happy with it overall. But that does it for me for now. Ash Guy, what have you been playing?
I've been feasting as an iPhone user because all these emulators are out now.
Oh, I'm glad you guys could catch up finally. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know this is old hat for you.
Yes.
Good for you. But yeah, so Apple finally is allowing emulators on the App Store because of the settlements in Europe. So the first one that kind of hit is called Delta. It's more of a Nintendo centric front end emulator. It does like Game Boy Advance, N64, Super Nintendo. It's really nice because it has its own built-in syncing setup. You hook it up to like Dropbox, and it'll sync your ROMs, your save states between iPhone, iPad, even my MacBook. So that's cool. And it has a very, very active skinning community that just make skins for the device using the touchscreen controls. Yeah, the really cool stuff. Like people you could use the skin file. It's just you make something in Photoshop to make like screen filters out of it basically and stuff. So people have CRT filters through the skins and things like that. And it also does a really cool thing. If you're playing a DS game, you can AirPlay to an Apple TV, but it'll AirPlay just the top screen.
I've seen this. This is very cool
on the phone.
That rules.
And it's still a touch screen and everything. Yeah, that's actually pretty slick. And shockingly, the latency feels fine.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, it would probably be equivalent to the Wii U. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a very similar protocol.
So yeah, so that's very fun. And then also RetroArch has come out for iPhone. So this is where I'm getting PS1 games, Saturn games. I was playing Panzer Dragoon Saga on my phone.
Oh, that rules.
Which is just that 20 years ago. That doesn't even register. Is like what? What are you talking about? It's just so wild that that's a thing I could do now. It's so funny because RetroArch, you give it to some iPhone users, and they're like, "How does this work?" It's like,
right, the menus are so cumbersome.
Roll up your sleeves, my dear.
Yeah, get in there. It's worth it.
I've actually, this is almost half the fun of it for me. So I have EmuDeck, and I subscribe to their Patreon so that I have the cloud sync. So between my Steam Deck and my Windows PC, I have all my retro games and the save files synchronized through my OneDrive.
How does it? Okay, and is that like an option? So if you just hook up a OneDrive, because I have the Patreon for that, so I can take advantage of this.
So if you open up EmuDeck and you're on Patreon, it's like an early access feature. You go into there's a cloud sync option. There's all the cloud providers there: OneDrive, Dropbox, FTP, Google Drive, whatever you want. It uses rClone in the background to manage all this.
Okay, I'm going to do that. That sounds fantastic. I should go do that on that PC where I have the Minish Cap save. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, particularly in Steam Deck, every time you open up Emulation Station or whatever, there's a good minute of just a blank screen while it's syncing everything. It doesn't run in the background. So I had that going on. And now I had this RetroArch installed on my phone, and that just saves everything locally on the phone. So then I became a crazy person. I was like, well, how do I get this to synchronize with everything else? So I created shortcuts in the iOS shortcut application to take those files, and I could copy them. OneDrive doesn't work because it's only read-only from the Files app. So I had to copy them to BitTorrent Sync, which throws them from BitTorrent Sync, so I have to open that separately. It sends them to my computer into the OneDrive directory. So then they immediately also go back up to OneDrive, which now syncs them to everything else. And I have that working. It's a kind of manual thing, but it works. Then I was like, well, now I've done this. I don't like that I have to wait every time I turn on Emulation Station. How can I do a background sync in Linux on the Steam Deck? So that had me installing a thing called Sync Thing off the Flatpak store.
Mm-hmm. The
and
Discover
I set that
store,
up between the Steam Deck and my Windows computer. But then I had to like install a Decky plugin so it runs continuously in the background. Then I accidentally broke all the sim links to my Steam Deck, and like I didn't lose my save files, but I broke the pointers to them. So I had to delete everything and restore it. I think I got everything working now, but now it's great. I have perfect synchronization of all my classic games.
And this process is definitely something I like doing every once in a while, but it's also the kind of thing where it's like once it breaks a couple months later, there's no world in which I'm going back and fixing it.
Yeah. Like once it's working, I'll be like, hey, I did this. You know, like 2 months from now, if something breaks, we're like, well, I'm just
fuck that. There's entropy's come for it, and it's just dead to me now. The Dolphin and PlayStation 2 emulation, this is still not working, at least not out of the box on iOS.
Okay, this is what you get with me, everybody. You get technical jargon that Mike just doesn't know.
Right, you're going to tell us about just in time?
Yes, so JIT or just in time is a kind of a way of creating code on the fly that these emulators rely on to accurately and speedily emulate something like a GameCube. Just in time works on an iPhone, but only in developer mode, like loaded from Xcode.
Right, it's like a messy process to enable it.
You can't do it in the App Store. It's weird. They call it a security thing. So basically, we either need to wait for Apple to allow just in time, or for iPhones to get so powerful they can just brute force their way through it, which will happen eventually. But yeah, until that happens, nothing beyond a PS1 or Sega Saturn, unfortunately.
It'll happen eventually. Someone will figure out something eventually. It'll get there. I'm at a point where it's like, don't need to emulate stuff on my phone anymore. But it was when I was first doing it, it was so novel. It was great. So I totally get this, and I'm glad it's
the nicest thing that I am playing on my phone right now. Like I said, is Pokemon Radical Red. I mean, when you're using touchscreen controls, a JRPG is the best thing to play because precision doesn't really matter at that point. You know, if I'm like I tried to play Zero Mission Metroid, and it's like someone made a skin for it that tried to like map like button combos and stuff. It's like it just doesn't work. Like that, and even again like Pokemon White on that emulator with the dual screen, holding my phone vertically, it looks great, plays great. So like that's really cool.
What's the quick pitch for Radical Red for people that are like, why is this the one to check out?
Again, I've just got into it, but basically, so it takes Pokemon Fire Red and then mods the dickens out of it. So they have Pokemon through every generation up to the newest one are in the game. You have a ton of quality of life features. Like here's a stupid example, but this is what I talk about when I was like, I wish Nintendo would play their own game or Pokemon Company. You know, you're playing Pokemon. There's a sign on a post that's like giving you directions. You have to walk up to it. You hit the button. The little white box pops up. It slowly fills with text. You have to hit the A button to dismiss it, and then you have to walk away. In this mod, when you just walk to the tile adjacent to the sign, it just pops up.
That's nice.
And when you walk away, it goes away. It's stuff like that that just streamline the whole process. Then they have a great feature that I really like. At the beginning of the game, it like kind of lets you set up some difficulty options. One thing that I've never gotten into or cared about in Pokemon games is like the whole IVs, the secret stats, and you have to breed these Pokemon to get the perfect IVs. Like, I don't care. My level 68 Pikachu should beat your level 62 Pikachu because its level is higher. I don't care about your speed stat and all this crap. And this does have an option to just say, no, just give everything perfect IVs so it's all on equal footing and we don't have to worry about it. Okay. So yeah, I like this a lot. It's neat. It's refreshing because it's got that nostalgic sensibility I like in a Pokemon game, like the old 2D Game Boy version. But it plays in a weirdly modern way, and I feel like Nintendo could learn a lot from this.
Yeah, I like just having a lot of fan mods at my easy disposal on the Pocket has been illuminating. It's like, man, they just do some really great work, and I'm going. It's not like I was ignoring it. It's just like the kind of thing where it's like, well, it's not official, so why would I waste my time? It's like, no, it's not a waste of time. It's actually a great way to go back and experience some of these games. And I'm like, I have no regrets doing that with Super Mario Land DX. And like I said, I got a whole list of these other games. And that's even before you get to the fan translations, where it's like, man, there's so many games I never even thought about playing, and now they're open to me. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah.
Well, the last thing, that whole N64 decompiler or recompiler, is a thing now. So if I understand this right, and you could correct me here. So this guy, I should have wrote down his name. He's got a name. He's created a way to basically turn any N64 game into C language, so it could just be ported to PC, basically.
Right.
And is kind of the release that he kind of coincides with is a PC version of Majora's Mask.
Right.
So I got curious and I was like, okay, I've had 2 false starts for this game, both in the N64 back in the day and the 3DS version. Again, I don't like replaying things. So this game, I always kind of struggled with it because, like, oh god, I got to start the day over again and do all that. So I'm like, well, let me fire this up and see if this sticks at all. It's really cool to play this game at 4K and 120 frames per second. That helps a lot, it turns out. With some better control mapping that the port enables, and I played the Mario 64 PC port they did as well, where like that has like ray tracing and all kinds of crazy stuff.
So much
and
work
that's
done
coming
to
to this.
Yes,
it's just so cool because it's like emulation's great. I love emulation, and you could do cool things. You can up-res games. You can do texture swaps.
It is limited though.
The way this is, like, it's like as if Nintendo made a PC. I think John Linneman said this on Digital Foundry. It's like they made a PC port in the late 90s and everyone forgot about it. And then someone just got it working on Windows 11. Like, that's what this feels like. It's just so neat. I like it.
It's very cool, and the best part is it's completely legal because they don't provide.
You still have to provide the ROM file for all the assets.
All the copyrighted assets are provided by you. Yes, so it's like, okay,
and
we're
this
safe.
is how you're so excited. Like, Jeff, like, imagine, we get the Wave Race 64 PC port with full ray tracing.
Yeah, that would rule.
Just picture that.
Yes, and that's exactly the kind of stuff I want. And that's what's happening right now is all these things are happening in conjunction with one another. Like Sean pointed out, it's Mr. Wise Guy that's doing this work, and then there's someone who's building. I think it's an emulator that adds ray tracing to every single N64 game. You just run the game in there, and then it can just actually add ray tracing to it. I believe that's how it works. And it's like
it's a plugin, so it can be used in emulators, or it can be used in these recompilation versions.
Right. So that's what I was hoping. Right. Exactly. And so that's okay. Like, start having all these things working together, and it's like every game now just functions this way. And if it doesn't, like, there's people there doing the hard work to ensure it gets better and better. So yeah, I'm very excited about it, and I am a huge N64 mark, and so having good ways to go back to some of these games in ways where it's like, but hey, okay, yeah, you don't like N64 because it was foggy. I get it. Well, here's a version of the game that actually fixes some of that stuff. Go play this one and actually get some goodness out of this system. That's makes me hopeful, and I'm very excited about it. Someone also mentioned there was that Super Mario 64 Maker that someone made. I'm like, that looks cool. I'm like afraid of opening that Pandora's box over on Giant Bomb. Of what that
and the great thing is now when I put this on my Steam Deck, I could synchronize my save file.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go.
There you go. Yeah.
Why are you guys talking about the gross
interloper.
Nintendo 64 so much? Gross.
Oh, great.
What a lame system. Wow.
Is he tired or drunk?
No, I'm not. I have not had a single drink today. I'll have you know.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
That's how he sounds.
It's just how he sounds.
Yeah, I am relaxed though. I am laying in a bed.
They also that explains it. You sounded very relaxed. They also did the N64 like that N64 versus Super Nintendo thing that we did on Never Been a Better podcast, and it was very disheartening to listen to some of the things said about some of the N64 games I love. They were like just trashing everything. I'm like, oh man, my feelings. I like it. It's okay if no one else does. All right. I think that's gonna do it for us.
It's a good point, Jeff. We should be more considerate about people having different opinions on games.
Well, except for Kingdom Hearts.
I was gonna make a much more timely Hellblade 2 joke, but maybe
sure.
I bet AJ might like that. He likes bad games.
I'm gonna play it after this. I never played the first one at all, so we'll see.
Started it And boy, it is just that game again. And it's like very much like, hey, do you want to just press forward? And she'll stop. And here's an example of like how I was like, okay, this is definitely not for me. It starts with you climbing like this wall, and she's very tired. And if you stop pressing it, it feels like it should be a cutscene. It feels like it should just keep going. But no, she's going to stop because you're playing. But if you just tap forward once, she'll do several huge climbing animations to the point where it's like, oh, it basically is just a movie. But okay, the game scent went off. I know when Dan Reichert starts watching everybody because I can smell it. Yeah.
He's just asked, who the fuck is this? Where is it? Who the fuck is this?
This is Minotti.
Like
what do you mean? That's
Yeah,
Minotti.
it's me.
Yeah.
Dan.
Come on, what's your problem?
Oh, yeah, hi.
The guy that created the best wrestling video ever. The
Steiner.
Yeah, the Steiner Math.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah,
the typography
I think
version.
we had this conversation. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but Dan's not going to remember.
Typography.
Yeah, Dan
Yeah.
forgot about that.
He
Yeah,
definitely
don't worry.
forgot.
Hey,
All
you
right.
guys did a good job.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mike.
thanks.
Appreciate it. Yeah, hey,
Glad you thought so.
looked like you were doing a good job at GameSpeed Summit. Did it go well?
Yeah, it went well. Did you eat poopy like I paid for?
Yes, you paid for it, so I did it. Of course, don't you worry. Listen, with the
course.
game said it
Thank
feels like
you.
I'm always eating poopies, so don't worry. All right, I can't.
All right, I'll let you take it home. Good job, everybody. Miss you. Bye.
Thank you, Mike. Miss you
Bye.
too. Get home safe whenever you do that. It feels like you got a million more things to do over there. All right, Ash Guy. Anything else?
No, that does it for me.
Does it for me as well. Did we get any more super chats? I don't think we did. I think we got everything there.
So I'll double check.
All right. Well, in that
No, we are
case,
clear.
I'm gonna hit the button and get us out of here. Ash Guy, tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, go on Twitter or Threads. I'm Guy or AdgeGuy711 on Threads, I think. And go to 90s Disney. We just had a bonus episode come out where we were. What did we do? We ranked something. Shops. That's what it was. It was
Right.
shops. So that was fun. And we got an episode coming for our 6th anniversary next month. That's crazy.
We just put our deposit on our trip. So,
Oh, this is exciting.
yep. So that booking process is well underway. I don't know if I've told my family I'm also going to Disneyland when I'm in LA, but maybe I'll just forget to tell them that. Because why rock the boat? You know?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Ash Guy, thank you for coming in tonight and filling in for Mike. I really
thanks for
appreciate
having
it,
me.
man.
It's always fun.
Absolutely, for sure. God, I'm gonna. Yeah. Oh yeah. AshGuy.com. There it is in chat. Everybody, go there.
Does that work still?
I have no idea. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
I am an animal. Till I see evidence that the world is round, I'm not believing a damn thing.
I'm not doing it.
I don't get horny, I stay horny.
I don't have access to any of these.
Is Dan a sissy baka?
I have to poop.
Yeah, I definitely beat it this time.
You should probably have to see Seaman at some point. I beat it.
Oh, you beat it?
Fuck the fuck off.